Going on? I'm Coach Anthony of More Than Human Fitness, and today I'm going to tell you a couple ways you can kind of cheat code the system if you want to fight, but you're on a budget. For those of you that don't know, back in 2011 is when I had my very first MMA fight. A lot of people also don't know is that during that time, I was homeless. Not saying technically homeless, not saying I was able to sleep on a friend's couch homeless. Saying I was carrying around everything in my life in a plastic garbage bag, and I was living in a shelter. Wasn't even living in a shelter fully. I was going to the shelter and getting a bed when I could. Type of situation where like by 7 o'clock when they opened the doors, by 7:15 all the beds were gone. And I worked two jobs at the time on opposite ends of DC and Maryland. I used to work at Payless Shoe Source, Abercrombie and Fitch. Work one job and then I'd go all the way and work another job. Most nights I had to sleep on a grate, and there was this grate in McPherson Square, DC, that like you could sleep on, and the air would shoot out, and it was stanky sewer air, but it was warm. And during the wintertime, that's all that fucking mattered. I would shower at my local LA Fitness, and I would get my workout in, then I'd go to work. Now, you may not be coming from those type of situations, but you may be, working, maybe living in a not so great, you don't have a great job or whatever, but you want to train, you want to try to get up out of your situation, you want to fight because you got this talent. I'm going to teach you some ways that are going to help you learn from my experiences without a team and at least do the amateurs. Number one, fighting is expensive. And oftentimes coming out of your own pocket, from the blood work to the gym fees to the travel costs. There's a lot you have to do to be able to step into that ringer cage. Sometimes you can't really afford one while getting the other. And this is all even in just the amateurs. If you can't work when the team works, get it where you can fit it in. Conor McGregor had a really good segment about this. He said that when he trained when he could, he trained when he needed to. So many people are so focused on having this discipline aspect of training at a certain time every single day. And for a lot of us, that just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You got to get it in where you can fit it in. If you work a job, you're going to have to get it in where you can fit it in. Just make sure that when you get it in, you are getting it in and you are not bullshitting. Number two, if you can't pay the gym dues, find out when there's open sparring, and when you go, match yourself only with the people you know are going to give you the work you need in the areas you need to improve on. For example, if you know you need to work on getting up after being taken down, work with people who are good wrestlers. People will go to sparring and just spar. They don't have a game plan. So if you're going to go to sparring, have a game plan. If you know I need to work on my jiu-jitsu, I need to work on using my boxing, go with people who are going to force you into those situations that are going to make you work what you know you need to work. That's how you're going to get yourself prepared for your fights, because in your fights, you're going to face those weaknesses and people are going to exploit them. So if you don't have an entire team around you designed to help you work those weaknesses every single day, you got to do what you got to do and work it how you can work it, when you can work it, and with people who can work it with you. Number three, drill the basics until they can't leave your blood. Fundamentals wins fights. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, but it's super important for people to understand that the flashy stuff comes after you've established a good, heavy ground on the basics. If you know that you don't have an entire team around you to just bounce flashiness off of, and you don't have an entire team around you to just sharpen up your basics, you got to practice that shit on your own, on a bag, in the air, religiously. However hard somebody else might be sharpening their basics and then they go and do the flashy stuff, you got to be sharpening your basics 3 times as much, because you don't have that leeway of a team that they have. A team makes that much of a difference. In 2011, I didn't have a team, and it really showed. I could have been so much further in my MMA career had I had a team around me like I have one right now and had this knowledge. But hindsight is 2020. So for all of you coming up, if you are just doing it by yourself, drill your basics. Your flashy stuff will come, but you need your basics to win your fight. Last but not least, sprints and conditioning work ahead of your fight. Say you do get a fight and you need to do something. You don't want to be lifting heavy. You don't want to be lifting. Sprints and conditioning. You need to be able to last longer than the guy who's been with his team. He may have better skill than you, but a lot of times these fights come down to who can last the longest, especially in the amateurs. I've seen some ugly ass amateur fights, but the thing about it is if you can last longer than the guy who's been training with his team, then it probably won't matter. You will probably be able to win a lot of your fights. Sprints and conditioning. If you're not doing your sprints, do your sprint work. But only do these kinds of workouts ahead of your fight. The rest should be drills, and sparring dedicated, centered around getting better at what you know you need to get better at.
This is where you gotta push past your limits. If you don't, then your path ends here.